Verse 519. Those who are equipped with a noble insight and are thoroughly conversant with the suchness of reality know well how to turn over ideas and reach the other shore of the Vijnana. So really this is describing enlightenment practice. There's the idea that you follow a path, you do various practices, and then you achieve the fruits of these practices, the main fruit being enlightenment itself. This is a romantic idea. It's a traditional, conventional notion. Basically what you're doing is you're walking in the dark with nothing but blind faith to guide you. You may stumble upon the truth, but the more determined you are to believe that you're on a path, the less likely you are to stumble on the truth, because all you're going to recognize is the path. You're not equipped to recognize the truth. In enlightenment practice, we begin with enlightenment, or what's described here as noble insight, and to some degree to be conversant with the suchness of reality. In other words, you've already stumbled upon the truth. There's already been some insight into the nature of how things really are. You might not even have recognized it as such at the time, but there's been a moment of clarity, a realization of the nature of the world and of your limited identity as an ego personality, and a realization that you're something beyond all this. Your true nature is beyond all this. How you describe it is always very tricky. You might describe it as something transcendent, a realization of pure being, awareness, consciousness. Here it's described as suchness. It's a good term, suchness. It's like you can keep digging away at it, but it is what it is, and can be nothing more and nothing less. This is it. This is suchness. So this is noble insight. And this is what we begin with. This is what we begin with. This is what we practice. We remember this. We try to find our way back to it. We try to become more and more conversant with this suchness. And the way we do this is spelled out in the second part of the verse. By knowing well how to turn over ideas and reach the other shore of the Vijnana. This is a very good way of putting it. I sometimes describe it as stepping back from the mind, stepping back from our ideas, our beliefs, stepping back from our moods, bypassing them, because none of them are ultimately real, and reach the other shore of the Vijnana, or Vijnanas, because the Vijnanas here refer to the contents of consciousness. It refers to visual objects, audio objects, and all the rest of it, what we normally refer to as the senses. The senses take us away from here. They project the attention outwards. So again, we bypass that, we sidestep it, we sidestep all that. So we turn over ideas, not in the sense of mulling ideas, we turn over in the sense of giving them a judo throw. We recognize them We recognize them, and we recognize their nature, and we don't go with it. We flip over to the other side of ideas. We flip over to the other side of our moods. Is it really possible to do this? Well, it's something you might more often than not fail at. But it doesn't matter how many times you fail. We are our moods. But as enlightenment practitioners, there's another possibility. We can get on the other side of our moods, of our habits, of our compulsions. But we really need to be aware that much of the time what we're experiencing is actually our own mood tone. We might even have a spiritual mood tone where we feel we're coasting, we've got it, everything's good. So that's a good mood tone. We have to watch out for the good mood tones as well as the bad mood tones, because all of these mood tones arise within awareness, and we have to come back to that awareness within which they arise. As I said, chances are you're going to fail more often than not, but there's no reason to be disheartened. You just keep practicing. You just keep realizing your moods. My moods at the moment are very much dominated by limited mobility in my lower legs. That might sound quite objective, but it's like I've got a migraine in my legs, and it comes along with a very uncomfortable pain and a feeling of nausea. It comes and goes. It's like whatever's inflaming my knee and joints is also inflaming my nervous system, and at times it's like I'm on fire in the worst possible way inside. And this sort of thing can really consume you. But if I can be aware of what's going on and realize that this is a mood, well, fortunately at the moment I've got some medication, some anti-inflammatory medication, which actually, once I know this mood's coming on, it's time that I should take some of this medication again. So there's ways of dealing with moods, but ultimately we need to be able to recognize them, and not feed them. So the option to not feeding them is to turn them over, flip over to the other side if possible. The other side to still equanimous awareness. But if that's not possible, sometimes you just have to bide your time, like I had to with this inflammation. You have to be careful not to feed it, not to take it out on my wife, not to act from it. Very, very difficult. But this is enlightenment practice. This is the practice. It's something which we can do all the time. I'll finish off just by reading the next verse because it follows on. 520. This is the seal of emancipation belonging to those proteges. It says here sons, but it's I think a non-sexist alternative would be proteges of the Buddha, who have embraced my teaching. It is released from existence and non-existence, removed from coming and going. So this is the seal of emancipation, this practice of turning over ideas, of not being led into the world of the senses, turning over ideas, judo throwing them so we don't get subverted by them, we subvert them, and we come back to enlightened awareness. So this is the seal of emancipation, and we're being told here we're essentially therefore a child of the Buddha. The enlightenment practitioner is a child of the Buddha, or a protege of the Buddha. And we're released from existence and non-existence, removed from coming and going. Now we've got some verses on karma coming up, and I think this is leading into this. But the coming and going is the coming and going of our identification, of what we're identifying with. Are we identifying with the senses and our ego personality, or are we identifying with absolute awareness? So this is the coming and going. It's existence and non-existence. We're not practicing, we're engaged in constructing our reality, constructing the reality of the world and of our place in it. So this is existence and non-existence. This is who we are. We're not that. The world is like this. It's not like that. So existence, this is how things are. This is how they're not. This is existence and non-existence. This is the process which most of us are at some level engaging in most of the time. It's part of the identity that we're continuously assembling, either in accord with the evidence of our senses or in accord with some other notions of our imagination. So we let go of all that. As enlightenment practitioners, we let go of all that. But it's still going on at some level, but we're no longer investing in it.